Some of you will remember Krishnamurti. He's got a presence again online, which is kind of nice because he was an amazing philosopher. Lots of good reasons to find out more about Krishnamurti. He always referred to himself as the speaker. And at that time, in those days, I thought it was an artifice of something like, what's going on? But later, of course, I realized that he was referring to himself as the speaker because his personal identification was not all that much involved with the individual. It was actually, he felt he was actually the speaker for something else, not a channeler. That was not his thing. He just was awake and saw that it's all the same. So he was an iconoclast in that he disavowed God completely, and he disavowed his own elevation into prominence in this particular fairly religious spiritual group. He said, no. This isn't even right. This is much simpler. You're it too. I'm not something special. So he wouldn't head the organization, and then continued to give talks all over the West Coast anyway, and in London, the West Coast in this country in the 60s. And my father used to take me. And I could not understand a single word he said. I understood the words, I could hear through his accent, but not a word. All I knew, I was 16 or something, all I knew was that this was very wise and that I wanted to learn to understand what he was saying. So that was, one of the parts of my process, but I'll just continue this just a short bit to let you understand the process, which is the process for many of us. When we think, I would like to have more vision, I would like to understand life more clearly, what is going on here? And we choose, okay, we say, I will do this in one of those inwardly directed systems because it's not my affinity for one thing to go out into a God organization, but it was my affinity to go in. So I thought, okay, I'll meditate. That was impossible for me at that age. And the reason it was impossible was I had zero technique. Of course, Krishnamurti gave zero technique. Close your eyes if you want, no need, but close your eyes if you want. And what I kept finding, and I know so many of us, I wouldn't say if it was just me, so many of us find that when we close our eyes, it's kind of madness in there. The thing that the Buddhists call the monkey mind idea, where they just, it's like, what? Meditate? What does it even mean? So with that very, very ultra busy thinking, feeling lost in it mind that I began with, I really had no link to soften it. I just didn't know how. So then came along the person, again, some of you will remember because many of you are my age, Maharishi, Mahesh Yogi, and the Transcendental meditation technique. Well, Maharishi said, if you can think, you can meditate. Well, I knew I could think. I could think like crazy. So I thought, okay, I'll actually try this. And he had a technique which involved a mantra and a repeating of the mantra that was done in such a delicate manner. Yes, you did it, but just as softly and easily as any other thought. And you only did it until you lost it. So you would do the mantra, and then it would dissolve. What was the magic of this? The magic was exactly what we are all doing when we're looking at the koshas in yoga, when we're looking at being in this busy external, and how do you gain access to the field of Sat Chit Ananda, awareness, consciousness, bliss. So Maharishi was a secret tantric. He was a secret tantric because what he knew in his technique that he offered was if you take the right direction and then surrender, get out of the way, the field of comfort will draw you in. The field itself drew me in. And over those, I was in a pretty bad emotional state when I began. I would be blacking out at the dinner table because of fear and just, I mean, really bad. And it took me about 2 years of this process every day and just saying, look, it might work. I got to try it. There is no New Year's Eve again. It might work. Go in, try it, try it, try it. And the quality of restfulness that I found within, here's one more of the keys. This restfulness in the deep, deep, subtle nervous system is where healing happens. It's not from up here where we're thinking. It's not, that will be healed, but that's not where healing happens. We need to get, as you hear me say, get under it. We get under it into these deep layers. And that's Tantra. Because in Tantra, we don't effort. I got to do this. I got to get it done. I'm going to do this. I'm going to think mantra, chant, or whatever. We don't do it that way. We say, take the right direction, which is inward. Allow yourself to dissolve into it. The technique, very, very powerful technique of transcendental meditation, powerful technique, dissolve into it and receive the healing. So this has been my perspective all along. And I didn't know that it was a tantric vision. And it's only one perspective. We have many. There are many techniques for noticing truth, right? And they're all good, and they all rely on your personal affinity. So many of my friends and colleagues have an affinity for perhaps the God concept. Perhaps that's the method that they use to go in. And the Yoga Sutra talks about this. You can use images and thoughts and feelings, meditate on Ishvara, which is, loosely translates to be God. Or, in my case, you take a mantra which relates to a specific strata of reality that is delicate and bright and weaving and and can be called a deity, can be perceived in that way. I tend to perceive it as these golden strands of consciousness. You can see how that could be taken to be a deity, right? It just depends how you look at it. And then that can take you in. So I don't know why I'm telling you this morning, but I do know that this is available to all of us. And I do know that in the years of early practice, and if you've been practicing 10 years, it's early practice. If you've been practicing 30 years, I don't think that's early practice. I think that's a dedicated practice. And obviously it's working for you because you wouldn't have continued so long. But in the beginning, when the mind is very, very busy, we have to get out of it. And we need technique for getting out of it and into the deeper layers. So then when I met Bonnie, what I realized, what I found, what I already knew, and she was articulating was that anywhere you go in, it's the same. So the mantra technique, meditation, uses the mind. It uses the mind to go in. All the meditations use the mind. Why? Because men have been teaching them forever. That's why. I'm not opinionated at all. Men have been teaching meditation. They teach it from the mind because that's their place of living and doing and getting done. It's also our male aspect. I fully recognize that. But the body got left out. The body is the nature. And the body is just as awake and alive as your mind. And the body can experience itself directly in its own radiance. And the radiance that is manifesting from the field under it all the way through it. And it doesn't mean the body doesn't die, decay, get sick, and all of that. Of course it does. Of course it does. Because at a certain point, who cares? We let it go. Abhinavesha is it's a tricky place because abhinavesha means clinging to life, and it's a principle. It's a klesha. It's an obstruction to purity. Purity means spiritual knowledge. It doesn't mean you're clean, your body or something. It's knowledge. Impurity, when you read it in a text, read it as ignorance. Ignorance means you don't know who you are. You're locked in the surface, right? So read impurity when you say, get rid of the impurities, and you read that in a text. Get rid of the ignorance. That's what to get rid of. So as you sit, I can only see a few of you. That's why I'm looking over to the left. I see some of you. As you sit here, believe because it's true that every cell of you is freaking awake and alive. Why wouldn't you want to pay attention to that? Why would you want to pay attention to some loop of suffering? Because you have choice. Look, that's why we come together. We come together to pay attention on all layers, the physical, structural, the emotional. This is the water kosha, the intellect, the thinking, the determination. This is fire. The love, the compassion, the awe, the radiance that is in the air element. You understand it's in every cell. And then the space, the biggest thing happening in your body, bigger than any of the other elements. And what is that? That is the radiance of life coming through the space and into all of the form. And again, that's one of the reasons we pay a lot of attention to it. And the space is the place of deepest embodied restfulness. What takes us there, you might be asking? The exhalation to the finish and the pause. A longer exhalation soothes the nervous system so that we can go in. Meditation techniques that soften the mind and take you in. Techniques such as chanting that take you, into something that is quite comfortable. If you love it, I don't really care about chanting, but if it's yours and you love it, then it brings you into yours. All kinds of meditation and yoga nidra, which is very, very akin in its effect to transcendental meditation. And that's why many years ago, I started to teach yoga nidra. I don't teach it very much anymore, but I have the thing is on the website. You can download it. My recommendation, if you have a busy mind, if you feel that you could use something that would help you on that process of going in, my recommendation, 3 times a week, yoga nidra. You have time. Get familiar with that deep rest, that Satchitananda place. Get to know it. And as you get to know it, pay attention and notice that it changes how you feel in your life. You might get a little bit more access to spontaneous joy. It's on my website. You go to embodyoga.com and you go into educational materials and you'll see it there. You click it, you download it, it's free. There's a lot of free stuff on there. "18 minutes. Long exhale. Right? So some of you may not be comfortable sitting right now. Feel free to lie down in constructive rest, and let's look at this long exhaling process. I'll lead you through it. Comfortable position. Soften your skin, that's your nervous system. So the body is a perfect tool for this. The body is the object of meditation in Embodyoga. That is what we're doing. Your skin, feel it. At its source, it feels ecstatic. Can you even accept that as a possible idea? I feel it right now, ecstatic. It doesn't stop me from being a bozo, the Patty bozo, but there it is. It's ecstatic. Even as my child suffers. Ecstatic, sad, ecstatic, sad. Ecstatic, sad. Ecstatic sorrow and grieving and the beauty of life. The rising and the falling of your breath right now. The beauty of the ability to take life in. Do you actually take it in when you inhale? Do you? Or do you just inhale? Because you have choice. Softening your skin will help you to take it in more thoroughly. Soften your face. Allow the inhale to billow through you, cellularly, lungularly, hipularly, all the way through you. And as you're exhaling, feel it's a whole body, mind condensing and weaving in. It's softening. There's science behind this. It's your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is saying, rest, my darling, rest. That's exhale. Rest into source. When you want to breathe, you inhale again. The inhale may be shorter. It doesn't matter that much. It's the exhale you're looking for right now, because that's what takes you in through the layers. And there is that ecstatic bliss. It is in there. And you breathe out through it.